What's up, guys? Welcome back. It's Joe talking about the Kansas State Wildcats and the basketball transfer portal once again, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this one. Guys, if you saw my last video, I was wrong. I was wrong about Toussaint and Wague. Both West Virginia players. Many of us thought it was a lock to get at least one of them, if not both of them. We missed out. And I'm not going to say we missed out on Wague 100% yet, but we'll talk about that in this video. Joe Toussaint today announced his commitment to the Texas Tech Red Raiders, which I know some people are going to be really blown away by and disappointed. I don't think it's a mutually exclusive statement to say I'm disappointed we didn't land a guy, and I'm also optimistic that we're going to find more people. It's not mutually exclusive. You can say both those statements. Say, you know what? Well, that stinks. I'm not the most sad about it. And I know that that might not be what you want to hear, but like, Joe Toussaint is a player who's had issues on the court. And I don't mean to say he's like a bad guy or bad whatever. He's got turnover problems. The highest he ever shot from the three-point line was 32%. And I'm not just going to jump on the bandwagon and say I was super high on him and now I'm super low on him because he's somewhere else. Full disclosure, if you go back and look at my videos, I was definitely higher on Wague than I was on Toussaint. And it's just because of the difference in player. It's not because one's better than the other or whatever the case is. One's been in college basketball for 4 years. They're joining Kansas State as 1 year. Joe Toussaint would have 1 year with K-State. And it's not to say that that can't work out, but this guy isn't Keontae Johnson. And maybe this ages poorly. Maybe he has an all Big 12 year and a great time at Texas Tech. But the thing I see when I look at this guy, players are going to go where their best opportunity is for them. And I know that you can say, well, Joe, money and NIL, that's all BS. What are you doing? Look at the starting roster for Kansas State and compare that to Texas Tech. You get a second-year head coach versus first-year head coach. I know that might not sound like much, but think about this. One guy has had success already at this level, knows the starting lineup, knows guys that should be starters. One guy's figuring out his roster. Joe Toussaint could very easily be a starter for Texas Tech. K-State, it's going to be a battle daily with Cam Carter. Am I disappointed to say we didn't land him and that Cam Carter will be starting? Not at all. Not even a little bit. Yes, it's a bummer, but it's not to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, we just missed out massively. That was a big loss for the team. He's a good player, and I think he's going to be a great fit for Texas Tech. But it's safe to say that we still have two spots available. Both Toussaint and Wague are kind of on the move. Wague's an interesting situation I'll touch on real quick. We all saw the cat signal the other day. We all saw them talk about, you know what, we've got a guy. We've got a dude coming to K-State. Dudes, all that. We all saw that. It was rumored that that was Wague. I was pretty high on it being Wague in the last video if you did watch that. Also, thank you guys for all the support on that video while it's on the top of my mind. I really appreciate all the views, comments, likes, whatever you guys do. I appreciate it. So thank you guys so much for all that. It was cool getting to talk with you about that situation. But I do want to mention this. Wague commits to K-State, air quotes, keep in mind the air quotes. And then not even 24 hours later, he's headed to Alabama. And we all know, while Alabama cannot compete with the Big 12 in terms of basketball, SEC basketball isn't Big 12 basketball, whatever you want to say, Alabama has one of the most heavily funded NIL bags in all of college basketball. Same with Arkansas and a couple of other schools like that. If Alabama wants a guy, they're going to make a push. K-State's not interested in that. We're not interested in giving money away. And it's not to say that Moe Wague or Joe Toussaint wasn't deserving of some NIL money or some type of praise. I'm just in a spot where I saw the announcement with Joe Toussaint and then obviously see the situation with Mohammed Wague unfold. I'm not super bummed about it. I'm not sitting here, oh man, kicking myself saying we missed out. Because when you think about this, look at the squad. We've got 5 starters right now. This team is a top 20 team in the nation in my mind. Think about that same team we have currently. Add in Joe Toussaint, add in Mohammed Wague. Does that elevate the team to a top 10 team in the nation? Does that elevate us to a top 15 team? I don't know that it does, to be honest with you. I think that Wague would be a great developmental player. He's only a sophomore. He could sit behind David Gasson. He could sit behind Jarrell Colbert, Naquan Tomlin, those guys, and learn a lot and get really good in the meantime. Joe Toussaint, 1 year and gone. Similar to Desi Sills. And I think the best argument I can say for these guys, if you look at Joe Toussaint and you compare him to Desi Sills, of the two players, and I know this might be a little bit unfair because we've seen Desi wear a K-State jersey, I would rather have Desi Sills 9 out of 10 times. The one time being, let's see what happens. I don't think it's fair to say that this is a massive loss or a massive miss for K-State. When you think about everything Jerome Tang's done and the coaching staff has done, we have a very set culture. And I don't want to sit here and say that neither guys matched or they didn't click with the culture, but if someone doesn't want to be a Wildcat, odds are they probably didn't fit that culture. And they probably wouldn't be the best representative of what K-State is. Guys like Keontae Johnson, Desi Sills, guys that came in the portal for one season, spent their final season of eligibility in college basketball with K-State. Those are guys that carry that with them. You saw those dudes crying, walking off the court when we lost, seeing all the love they had for Manhattan. Like, it's not saying Joe Toussaint wouldn't have that. Moe Wague wouldn't have that. But I'm saying there's a very specific type of person that Jerome Tang and staff are recruiting. And maybe these guys didn't fit that mold. Obviously, to some extent, Moe Wague did fit that mold to announce his commitment or whatever the case was. Didn't officially post anything, but that was what all the dancing, all the dudes on dudes, stacking dudes, business booming gifts were. That was in reference to Moe Wague. I have a couple of tweets that I think really encapsulate how I feel to a T, and I don't want to sound so negative in this video and just say, oh, these guys are horrible. We didn't miss out at all. I think it's fair to say that we can get two dudes that fit the mold better that will elevate the squad to that top 10, top 15 spot. I do. I think it's fair to say that we have an opportunity to get better still. We still have two guys open in the portal. We have two spots to fill, and there's good players. And I'll show these tweets here in a second, but I do want to mention one thing. The portal might look a certain way today. Tomorrow, there could be three dudes that average 19 points a game in it. All I'm saying is that the slower teams, they always say the early bird gets the worm. That's not 100% true. We've seen that. Everybody was worried. We got Tyler Perry. We got Arthur Kaluma, two NBA-type dudes that are ready to contribute. I'm excited to see the opportunity that they have this season. If you throw a spot to a Moe Wague and then you miss out on an Arthur Kaluma because of it, that's a significant downgrade. There's an opportunity to get better with top guards, top guys. There's a couple tweets I want to mention here. I'm going to start right here with Derek Young from KCO. If you're not following him, he's a good dude. He covers K-State on 3 Mile Podcast and a couple of other different things. This is what Derek Young had to say. If we've learned anything, Jerome Tang and Kansas State will be just fine. They were a contender before today and a contender after today. Beautiful thoughts, beautiful statement. That's exactly true. The team doesn't take a step back without these two. We stay just as talented as we are. I know it feels like we're getting beat down on this one. That's not the case. Yes, we took a step back, but the opportunity to develop and get better is still there. That doesn't ever go away. The second tweet. Now, this is from a dude, I think it's K-Stated, but it could be K-State D, so I apologize if I'm messing that up. I'll drop the follow, so shout out to this dude. If Tang and staff tweeted what they did, it means the player gave them some sort of commitment, some sort of solid commitment, If that changes over 24 hours to a higher bidder, that's a reflection of the player, not this staff. Tang isn't going to get into a bidding war. That's not what he wants. That's 100% right. I think this dude nailed it. Hit the nail on the head. Obviously, this tweet is in reference to Wague. If Wague didn't stick through that, then he might not be the guy. He might not be a K-State dude. That's just the case I'm looking at. And the final one from my boy Caleb. Shout out Caleb. He's a great Twitter follower if you're not already. It's @PunishedCaleb. There'll be a certain point, and in parentheses, not saying we're there yet, where it doesn't make sense to go get an experienced guard out of the portal just for the sake of it, when they aren't as good as Day or RJ could be by the start of the season. Take the words out of my mouth. That's perfect to say. I'm not sitting here and saying Joe Toussaint's trash. I'm not saying he's a bad player. But the ceiling is limited. You have one season to develop. One season. And maybe that's just a bad take. Maybe it's a dumb way to look at it. But I think more than likely we'll miss out on Wague. I don't want to 100% say it, but it seems like that's where it's going. I'm not worried. So I'm encouraging you all, take a breath, take a relax, take a chill pill, whatever you can do. Things are going to be just fine. We're going to find guys to step in and contribute on the court. We might have a new starting lineup by the time the season starts. You never know. But we've got opportunities to get better, and that's the biggest thing to keep in mind. I'm begging you guys to have faith. That's the gist of what I'm saying today. And I know it's kind of just a rant, kind of an update video on the situation. I'll talk some more about the transfer portal, a couple of options we have to fill those last two spots coming up here soon. But before I get out of here, let me say thank you guys for all the support. If you're interested in helping us hit 1,000 subs, I'll be giving away one of these super sweet lavender quarter zips at 1,000 subs when we cross that threshold. All you got to do is drop a sub and wait for the video. I'll do a whole reveal. I'll do a big post about it, and we'll go from there with instructions on how to win the quarter zip. But I appreciate you guys rocking with us. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and go Cats.